Okay, this is going to be good. People like talking about this subject. What is the pineal gland? The third eye, the all-seeing eye. All right, let's get into the actual physicality of it. What is it? So, if you put a line between your ears, you're gonna hit the pineal gland in the middle. And what it is it's about the tip of your pinky, about that big, and it looks like a pine cone. That's why it's called the pineal gland. It looks like a pine cone. Okay. Now, what it is it's part of the midbrain. It's part of the limbic system. This is in between the left and right side of the brain. The left is being the male, the right being the female energy, and it's supposed to balance it out. So it's called the emotional brain or the limbic brain. And the base of that is the R complex or the reptilian brain, which is your fight or flight, which you don't want to be in because there's no higher order thought going on down there, and that shuts down higher order thought when you're living in the R complex. So this pineal gland is connected to the pituitary gland and the optic nerve. And this pineal gland does a very unique thing 3 times in a human life, and only 3 times. And what it does is 13 weeks in the womb, in the 13th week in the womb, it releases a shitload of this chemical called dimethyltryptamine, which we'll call DMT for short. So in the 13th week in the womb, it releases a lot of this dimethyltryptamine. That's the first trimester. And by the way, that's when the baby goes from looking like some type of clone, and then it morphs into who it's going to be, and you could start seeing the facial features and almost recognize the person as an adult. Anyhow, this the second time it releases a shitload of this dimethyltryptamine is when you die. It releases that same shitload that it releases in the 13th week in the womb. And when it does that, you lose 21 grams, the weight of the soul. They even made a movie about it called 21 grams. Anyway, so, and only one other time in a human life does the pineal gland do this. And it releases a tiny, tiny bit when we dream, when we go into our REM stage sleep. REM, R-E-M, standing for rapid eye movement. Now, the reason they call it rapid eye movement is because when you're dreaming, your eyes are going, they're acting out the dream. The reason is because they're connected to your pineal gland, which is actually having the dream. So, since they're connected, it's acting like a bionic arm almost. It's just, it's completing the same function as the pineal gland would be. Now, the contention here is that this pineal gland, which is basically a balloon full of water. This is why they calcify it. They want our pineal glands calcified with fluoridated water and such, so it can't, when perform its function, so it hardens. So what this balloon full of water does is it flips inside out of itself. So it'll have like the water on the outside, and then it'll flip inside out, and now the water's on the inside of the balloon. And this is what the pineal gland does when it releases this dimethyltryptamine. It's a Stargate. And if anybody's ever seen the movie Stargate, you'll see how it's a circle, and it's just a water, it's a portal. So when you're in the 13th week in the womb, that's when the soul incarnates into the fetus. And that's why before it was illegal to get an abortion after, you know, the 13th week, because there was actually a soul paired to the body, paired to that fetus. Now you'd be actually killing a soul, you know, or not killing the soul, but killing the body that a soul is already in. And then when the soul leaves the body, when you die and you lose 21 grams, which is the electromagnetic connection of the soul to the earth, that's what creates that weight, the 21 grams. The soul exits the body then at that point. And when we dream, the soul jumps in and out of the body, and our parasympathetic nervous system takes over and is totally running the body, like on kind of like on cruise control. You're not actually in charge. That's what the parasympathetic nervous system is for. So now we're going to go all the way down the rabbit hole on this one, so it's going to get fun. Now, people ask, okay, well, if this is an all-seeing eye, how come we can't see anything, you know? Well, what's going on? Well, I mean, I can't see anything with it. So, in antediluvian times, antediluvian means pre-flood, people, this like Atlantean times, the times of Atlantis and Lemuria, people were able to see all the other dimensions and people's auras and everything with, so if somebody was evil or was a reptilian soul or, you know, an archon soul or whatever, they'd be able to see that. They'd be able to see their aura. It was like literally like having They Live glasses on, for those of you who have not seen the They Live movie. And those, so it was very hard to fool anybody, because, or it was impossible actually to fool anybody, because everybody could see. Everybody had that all-seeing eye intact. And there was a thing that happened there where our ancestors had that function taken away, and then all the descendants, being us, now do not have that function. And that this is called the knowledge of good and evil, and the apple from the tree. If you look on the back of your iPhone and your iPad and your Mac, you'll see that little bite out of that apple. There's a bite missing there. That Eve took that bite, from a talking snake who offered her an apple from the tree, from the knowledge of good and evil, and she screwed humanity over for the rest of eternity for that, right? Well, that allegorical story symbolizes what actually happened. And what they did was they took away the DMT, or the dimethyltryptamine, that was floating around all in our body before, which would kick on our pineal gland and make it able to see. And so, since we've had that function taken away, we're spiritually blind. So that's why they call the pineal gland the seat of the soul. It's your creativity center, and when somebody takes away your creativity, you can't even imagine things could be any different than they are in the present, with these enslaving governments and monetary systems and such. So they take away your creativity, you're basically done. That's what, the whole point of being down here in this physical realm, is to have physical experience, have a spirit in physical matter, having an experience, because, you come into physical matter because it matters, Anyhow, so everything has DMT in it. Grass, field grass, and weeds, they have a very high content of it. So if we're consuming all these vegetables and fruits and things that grow out of the ground with DMT in it, why isn't it kicking on our pineal gland? Well, and you're probably not going to ever hear this anywhere else, but what the knowledge of good and evil technology is it's a shutdown of our pineal gland. And how they shut down our pineal gland was they nullified the DMT that's floating around in our bloodstream, or that would get digested in our in our stomachs and then be sent out into the bloodstream. And they did that by adding a stomach acid. They genetically engineered during flood times, and then so the new generation of human beings would all have this specific stomach acid as part of our gut biome called monoamino oxidase, or MAO2. And MAO2 is a dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, inhibitor. So it inhibits the effect of the dimethyltryptamine in our bloodstream, or in our gut, sorry, to be sent out into the bloodstream afterwards, to get to the, for that blood to get to the brain and allow the pineal gland to always be able to see, all seeing in all dimensions at will, passively. You wouldn't even have to you'd be able to see out of your eyes out here, and you would also be able to see from your inner eye, not out here, but inward into that portal. So then that way, when you're looking at other people, you almost have like X-ray vision. It's literally exactly like the They Live movie. Now, people ask, so how can we turn on our pineal glands and stuff like that? And then people have heard of the the DMT and the ayahuasca. So now let's get into that. What ayahuasca is basically they can use any kind of leaf or grass or whatever, and they pick one that has a really high DMT content, and they cook that together with the bark off of this vine. So you could literally use almost any plant and get the DMT out of it, but the issue is the monoamino oxidase will nullify it anyway. So if you drink a cup full of DMT laden juice, it'll be nullified by the acids in your stomach. So cooking the bark off of this one vine in the jungle actually is a monoamino oxidase inhibitor, an MAO2 inhibitor. So it inhibits the function of this DMT inhibitor, and then this DMT gets digested all into your bloodstream, and it just kicks your pineal gland on and blast off. Any of you that have ever drank ayahuasca, and the one, not just the little shots that they give you, but of drinking the half cup, full cup, and you leave the planet. And also they have the bufo toad with the 5-MeO DMT, which with the ayahuasca you're active for 4 to 6 hours. You can see a couple dimensions above this third dimension we're in, and with the 5-MeO smokable, it's maybe at tops 30 minutes, but the visuals are very, very good. You'll definitely see the little Ewok mushroom people and controlling the control panels. You're definitely going to see that with the bufo toad for those of you. So anyhow, that's what the knowledge of good and evil technology is. Actually, it's an acid in our stomach that nullifies our pineal gland, and then on top of that, they calcify our pineal gland, so it doesn't, it can't jump back and forth. The balloon can't flip back and forth very well, so that's why it's very hard for people to remember their dreams, and they're using all kinds of poisons in the foods and things like that to attack the function of this ever so important gland. It's called the seat of the soul for a reason. And another thing, the reason why it's situated where it is because the human skull actually has the best internal biolocation system of any animal, second only to an owl. Not externally like dolphins, like bouncing, but internal. And our eardrums are actually angled just slightly forward, to where if you draw a line, they'd end up right here on your, so they're level right with your pineal gland, and they point to right here. So it's actually creating like an echo chamber with your pineal gland in the middle. And you know how vibration works through water. Sound travels through water, propagates through water much faster and with more efficiently, with less loss than it does through air. So, you know, the pineal gland is all water. They don't want that. There's certain technologies that the CIA uses where they get these they weaponize these witches. They basically put these sound wands up to their skull, and they vibrate all the calcification off of their pineal gland to give them more powers. They're literally creating like Siths that can attack people in their sleep and such, and make people sick, and make them feel sick when they're really not, which actually then the person manifests it themselves. So this is what this pineal gland is, folks. This is why this is such an attack on it. Now, the Vatican is the richest bank on the planet, richest corporation on the planet. The biggest statue at the Vatican is a pine cone in the back. It's a huge fountain where water comes out of this pine cone, and it's all calcified over. Water's coming all out of the top of this pine cone, and it looks like, before they clean it, I don't know how many times a year, and then they do it again, but it almost gets, you guys know how all the hard water stains on your faucets and everything if you don't clean it on your pipes. It looks like almost like you put, dipped a strawberry in white chocolate. So, and then the Pope has a staff, and then this is skewered on top of the staff like this. So, symbolizing that, this death cult that runs, the Vatican is their bank, the Saturnian Brotherhood, the Saturnian cult. They're the ones that got our pineal glands on a skewer. I wish I had a skewer right here, right now to show you, but anyhow, they got it on a skewer. And instead, Buddha's pictured with a huge one around the back of his head because he was turned on. And this is if you guys look at some of the old Tartarian buildings in Russia and such, in Turkey, look at the sacred geometry on this. This is literally, this spirals around perfectly. Look how this spirals. Look, it just spirals in perfect, and all these are in perfect ascending order and everything. I mean, it's just, so this is. So when they basically say people have a closed mind, you have, this is your pineal gland. It's all calcified and never activated. Here's your pineal gland, closed-minded, open-minded. You see the difference? When you're activated, this is what they're, the whole thing is all about. And on the back of the dollar bill, you see they have the pyramid that originally had the eye on top connected, and then they disconnected the eye. The eye is now separated, so that means that shows you they took away our pineal gland. They took away our pineal gland function. So there's a lot of symbolism showing how this all works and what they've done. And people say, "Oh, how can I turn on my third eye and this and that?" You can't. You can't turn it on to the effect of what you're going to turn it on if you got rid of the monoamino oxidase in your gut biome. But the only way we know how to do that is these certain jungle medicines, which are medicines. These are not drugs or anything like that, folks. These plants grow out of God's green earth. There's no the plant's not doing that because, it's evil. It's doing that for a specific purpose because there's things on this planet that have been put here to heal us out of our psychological and spiritual condition, which is, being blind. People can't see or hear the truth or see or hear the reality that's surrounding us because we've been blinded technologically and biologically. So that's the whole spiritual war now. We've been blinded spiritually, but you're fighting spiritual forces of darkness. So you're with the blindfold on, fighting evil master, and you got to use your Jedi you know, your Jedi force with the blind. That's why, you know, those good Jedis were training blindfolded. It was allegory to show you that you got to use your pineal gland to fight this. It's a spiritual war, not necessarily a physical. We're experiencing here, and it's manifesting in the physical, but it's all coming from, you know, the spiritual realms, because everything manifests from the spirit into the physical, not the other way around. The spiritual precedes the physical. It doesn't go the other way. You know, this is the lowest, densest form of it. So, you know, shit rolls downhill. Bottom line. I hope that helps you guys. I hope that inspires you to, you know, really try to get your psychology together and balance the female and male portions of the brain in order that you can, you know, maintain some kind of equilibrium and be able to think straight, you know, and get through this spiritual war. If you're imbalanced in any way to either side, which most people are imbalanced on both sides, leaning toward the left, male and female, because we're in a left brain, you know, male dominated society that's been, you know, culturally engineered. They put us into their cult, this male dominated, perverted male, actually, and, you know, over sexualized but undersexed society. Anyways, stay tuned for the next one.